Substantial Risk Order Laws, a new tool to save lives. A presentation of the Temple Rodef Shalom Gun Violence Prevention Group. As the sages of the Torah say, when you save one life, it is as if you have saved the whole world. The TRS Gun Violence Prevention Group is one way to work towards our mission as a Rodef Shalom, a seeker of peace. The purpose of this presentation is to inform our members and community about one important new law we can use to help decrease gun violence in Virginia. Due to the leadership of the most recent Virginia Assembly, including some prominent local Northern Virginia legislators, we now have new tools to help save lives. Remember, access to a gun can be the difference between life and death in a critical situation. We can all do something to save lives and prevent more tragedy. Substantial risk orders laws are now in place in Virginia. They are widely supported by 80% of all Americans, according to a 2020 Washington Post ABC News poll. It protects people from individuals deemed to be a danger to others and protects individuals deemed to be a danger to themselves. In Virginia, substantial risk orders prohibit persons from buying, possessing, transporting firearms. Emergency risk orders last up to 14 days. Final risk orders last up to 180 days. A final risk order can be extended another 180 days with another hearing. The Virginia Code 19.2-152.13 allows a Commonwealth attorney or law enforcement officer to file a petition for an emergency substantial risk order. Anyone who fears harm to or by an at-risk person can ask for a petition to be filed. If a risk order is ordered, the at-risk person can voluntarily relinquish any firearms. Law enforcement may obtain a search warrant issued by a judge or magistrate if they feel more firearms are present besides the ones voluntarily relinquished. To initiate a risk order, contact the police. Use 911 or the following non-emergency numbers. In Fairfax, call 703-691-2131. In Arlington, 703-558-2222. In Alexandria, 703-746-4444. And in Falls Church City, 703-241-5050. Contact the Commonwealth Attorney. In Fairfax, 703-246-2776. In Arlington, 703-228-4410. In Alexandria, 703-746-4100. And in Falls Church City, 703-228-4410. These statistics show the benefits so far. Virginia's risk order law has already been used 166 times across the state from July 2020 through September 2021. There was a drop in suicide in Connecticut of 13.7% and Indiana 7.5% since they implemented similar laws. The data from the investigation show that risk order laws have been used to prevent mass shooting events, according to a University of California, Davis study. Did you know that suicide by gun is on the increase nationwide, especially among adolescents and men? Dying by violent means at the hands of an intimate partner or spouse is one of the leading causes of death for women in this country. And the recent lack of psychiatric inpatient options for Virginians and the mental health crisis caused by the pandemic are adding to the risk of gun-related suicide. Protection for victims. A risk order, if made final, is added to the Virginia Criminal Information Network database, and local law enforcement must be notified. This can prevent an illegal gun sale if a background check takes place. And there are penalties for transferring the gun outside the regulations once a risk order is issued. Substantial risk orders respect due process. There is a requirement for an independent investigation to determine grounds for the petition. The initial order is temporary and requires a court hearing within 14 days to determine grounds for the petition. The gun holders are given a copy of the order and the inventory sheet. Here is a scenario that could occur in our community. Jessica and David are the parents of a son, Adam, whose suicidal ideation has deepened since the pandemic shutdown. They are frightened by his ability to buy a gun, since he recently turned age 18 and has no criminal record. His psychiatrist advised them to seek a risk order after a recent therapy session. Here is another scenario that could occur in our community. Madeline recently filed an emergency protective order from her abusive husband and plans to move to a shelter or apartment as soon as possible. She is terrified that her husband will carry out his threat to destroy them and retaliate against her or their children. A neighbor told her that her husband said he has a hidden gun and knows how to use it. Madeline's neighbor and her court-appointed advocate have urged her to file for a risk order as soon as possible. Resources. Organizations such as Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense and the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence have TRS Friends as leaders and members. Jacada, a nonprofit based in Rockville, assists the Jewish community and others in dealing with domestic abuse and sexual violence. They have provided training so our clergy knows how to respond to these situations. NAMI, the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, helps clients and family members who are impacted. Leap into action. Learn your rights and the law. It could save a life someday. Educate others on risk orders and other safety measures. Advocate for friends and colleagues who are in a potentially vulnerable position. Protect yourself and others. To dig deeper, here are links to resources on the screen: the Education Fund to Prevent Gun Violence, Moms Demand Action, Women's Law, and an expert panel discussion on risk order laws. You can also find out more information on red flag laws at the Fairfax County website. Thank you for considering this serious topic and spreading the word to our community. Your knowledge and courage can help stem suicide and other forms of gun violence.